evening and welcome to another episode of Talk That Get Results. I'm Everett Weber Herbert, and as per usual, we're here every Tuesday evening with something that at least we think is of community interest and or of some concern. And if you think that you have something which fits into that category, you'd like to find out how you can be a part of the program, well, why don't you drop us a line? Address it to Let's Talk program in care of Vaughan Radio, P.O. Box 195, Charlestown in Nevis. Give us a call. Our numbers are 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. And by the way, those will be the numbers you'll use to be a part of this evening's discussion. Again, thank you all very much for joining us. This is your voice in the community, Talk That Get Results. With regard to your participation in the show, we encourage you to call in on the numbers listed, 1-869-469-1616 and or 1700. Here's a suggestion. You have a question or a comment, perhaps you can get a pencil, piece of paper, write it down so that you're well organized. And when you're getting on the show, you take as little time as possible so we can accommodate as many of you as we can. We ask only, first of all, you respect yourselves and then respect others, because we will not accept anything we deem not within our broadcast standards. Again, thank you all very much for joining us. Your voice in the community, Talk That Get Results. Also, you can follow us in this program via our YouTube channel. You go to YouTube, you click subscribe to Vaughan Radio, and you will see the video streaming live. You can also follow us on our webpage at www.vaughanradio.com, the streaming live as well. Tonight, the Credit Union will be talking Credit Union Week. With us, Mr. Sidney Newton, good evening.
Good evening, Rebel. Good evening, listening audience.
we do apologize for that delay. Now we're with the St. Kitts Nevis National Cooperative League Limited. As you know, this is being observed as Cooperative Credit Union Week, and we are with some officials of the credit union, and Sidney Newton is the manager of the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union. Mr. Newton, we're going to begin with you, and then I'm going to ask you to go around the table and we'll get everyone else introduced. So, Mr. Newton, good evening.
Yes, good evening, Webo. Good evening to the listening audience. Welcome you to this program, and we trust that you will be truly inspired after we have completed.
Yes, good night, Webo. The distinguished Webo Herbert from One Radio. We say good night to all in radio and internet land. My name is Peter Jenkins. I am president of the league, and tonight we have representatives from each of the 4 credit unions that comprise the league. We have 4 representatives this evening, and we hope to be able to convey to you what the movement is about and what we have been doing over the past year and what we project we will be involved in the not too distant future. So it's a pleasure to be with you.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. It's always a pleasure to be here in Nevis. And you're probably wondering why, but this is my mother's land. And so I am very lucky to be a child of both islands. So whenever I come over to Nevis, I feel very good. My name is Julie Charles, and I'm the Marketing and Member Services Manager at the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union.
Good evening, Nevis, and I'm sure Kittitians are logged in as well. Pleasant good evening. I am Sonia Fifield Hazel. I'm here from the First Federal Credit Union, formerly known as the F&D Enterprise Credit Union, and I'm the Member Services and Marketing Manager. Good evening again.
Good evening, Mr. Herbert. Good evening to the listening public. I also want to say good evening to my special esteemed panel. Those of you who are present here with us this evening, persons of, I would say, wealth of knowledge and experience in the whole credit union movement. My name is Stephen Hector. I am the Vice President of the Police Cooperative Credit Union, and I'm looking forward for a very good discussion this evening.
Okay, now let me just mention how pleased I'm always am to have you. It's not the first time that maybe it might be the first time I had who was here for the first time? Miss Charles and Miss Fifield. Well, it's good to have you, and it's always good to have ladies in this very. Tell them what kind of room it is, Mr. Hector.
It's the real room.
Wow, I think we feel very welcome.
Yeah, if you look on the door behind you, what does it say? No, the door.
The no spin room.
The no spin room.
We don't spin either.
All right, so there's no cricket in here then.
No. So it's good to have you, and especially on the topic of cooperative credit unions. And the no doubt, very soon we'll hear what is the mantra of a cooperative credit union. And every time I get information about it, I keep wondering, why there's so many banks instead of cooperative credit unions, because of the philosophy. And I'm always intrigued by it, and I hope that our listening audience will be intrigued as well, and don't just do what I do, which is nothing, but hope that they become members, right? Okay, so it's always good to have you. Why don't we do this? I am sure that each one of you in a particular area of representation would have something to put forth in the opening comments or introduction. So why don't we get those done first, in whichever order you prefer, and then I've got 1 or 2 things I'd like to ask. the audience out there, if you'd like to ask a question or make a comment, please feel free on the numbers listed, 1-869-469-1616 and 1700, and then we can open up a full discussion. So, in the order which you choose, why don't we do that?
Thank you for your kind words as usual. I remember we were here last year and we had a whale of a time. I would have expected that you would have joined the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union as a consequence of that discussion.
I expected you to say that, so I had my answer and comment prepared.
You came prepared.
The point is I didn't have enough money.
I'm quite sure that we should have been able to organize some terms.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
don't let us have this conversation again next year.
Well, maybe if I find at the end of discussion that the terms and conditions are suitable for me, I will.
Well, that is what we are known for. We normally make things happen for our members. So,
So the first thing is to become a member.
yes,
okay.
we will organize that.
Yes,
We'll
okay.
organize that.
So let's go.
So, as is customary, the World Council, we celebrate Credit Union Week in October. And so this year, the theme is Local Service Global Reach. That is the theme for our celebrations. The week was opened by the Minister of Cooperatives, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, following which the credit union members on both islands worshipped at their respective churches, following which we went to lunch. There was no place on Booby Island that could hold us, so we went to the nearest place. This year, the nearest place was Spice Mill. And so the colleagues from Nevis met with the colleagues from St. Kitts at Spice Mill, and we had a whale of a time. Julie came to church and then claimed that she was not feeling well and therefore could not follow us to Spice Mill. But at Spice Mill we had a wonderful time. I'm not blowing a trumpet for Spice Mill, but the food was lovely. Food was lovely, and we had good fellowship. So that started the week for us. And then we were on radio yesterday on 2 stations, and now we are on this station tonight, and we'll be on another station on Thursday evening, spreading the message of what our movement is about. The St. Kitts, the League, represents 4 constituent members, namely the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union, the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union, the Police Cooperative Credit Union, and First Federal Cooperative Credit Union Limited. Over the past year, we have had a number of activities, mainly focusing on training. We have had training in technology for our members and also for persons in the general public. We have had training in governance, trying to improve the standard of governance in our organizations. And also we've had leadership training for those persons who are thinking about serving in a leadership capacity in our credit union. So we've been busy. This year, as part of the celebrations, we have decided to not only talk about it, but to also make the step. We are seeking to make the transition to the younger generation, and so we are doing a number of activities to involve young people. And so on the 24th of October, we will have a one-day seminar for fifth formers of all of the high schools in the Federation, and they will be looking at the credit union principle. What is the credit union movement about? We want to teach them about the credit unions and the principles of the credit union movement. The target audience would be fifth formers that are involved in business subjects in the 8 high schools in the Federation. And so we want to thank the ministries, the various ministries of education, for partnering with us to make sure that this seminar will be a success. And then on the 16th of November, we will be having a seminar for the general public and our members in service excellence. And this is to try to improve the level of service that we receive at various institutions in our country. And so if you are interested, you can get in touch with the League, and you'll be able to, I hope, once we are not oversubscribed, you'll be able to get a spot or spots to that seminar. I repeat, service excellence, and it will be on the 16th of November. And then our final training activity for the year will be on the 2nd of December, and it is on understanding financial statements. And we think that this is a very good time to have it, as most of us would serve or file our tax returns, etc., in January. And so getting a better appreciation of how you interpret your financial statements should be an asset to the organization. I will pause here and allow the other credit unions to say what they have been doing and what their activities for the week, the rest of the week, would be. So I'd go to my right to Julie Charles from the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union.
Thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Now that you've told everybody that I did not go for lunch, you did not tell them that you took my portion when you went. All right, so my people, I did not show up for lunch because I'm not feeling very well. I'm having the flu here, but I had to brave the waters, come over. I mean, again, it's Nevis, and so it gives me the opportunity to speak to my family. So shout out to Hanley's Road. Yeah, I'm a Hanley. And as I said before, I'm the Marketing and Member Services Manager for the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union Limited. And of course, this week, we are celebrating International Credit Union Week. But they usually say day, but it really is a week for us. And the theme this week is Local Service, Global Reach. So, as Mr. Jenkins indicated, we would have gone to church, both here in St. Kitts and Nevis, and then we would have gone to lunch. Yesterday, we visited one of the radio stations. Today, we are here with Vaughn. But for the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union, we did a member education forum. And what that really is, it's a free educational forum where we gather our members together. It's a free session. This year we did the FIP, which is a Family Indemnity Plan. There's been an increase in the plans, and so we wanted to educate our members, let them know what's happening. If they have any questions at all about the plans, they were able to do so. This was held 5 o'clock this afternoon, so I was able to kind of go there first and then get myself ready to come over. And we had quite a good turnout, and persons asked a lot of questions. So again, this is part of our operating principles. We are supposed to educate our members. So that was today. Tomorrow, which is Wednesday, we will have the Melvin Edwards Award ceremony, and I'm sure persons have heard the name Melvin Edwards before, and he is definitely part of our foundation of the credit union movement, not only in St. Kitts and Nevis but around the Caribbean. He has risen to the highest position within the credit union movement globally. He is the past president of WACU, which is the World Organization of Credit Unions, the highest organization for credit unions. And so we decided to reward children in St. Kitts who got the top 3 test of standard scores. So this year I think it may be St. Paul's, Sadler's, and in Northern School I think it's Seventh-day Adventists that are holding the top 3. So tomorrow we'll have a little ceremony for them. We would have given them a little scholarship along with a nice little trophy and some package. We've asked their parents to come, we've asked the schools to come, we've asked the schools to work with not only some of the teachers but the 5th grade and 6th grade students who can see where they can reach. All right, so that is a plus for us. So we'll do that first thing in the morning. And then in the evening, I think we are pretty safe for the evening. So that's our activity for Wednesday. On Thursday, which is International Credit Union Day, it's Member Appreciation Day. So you guys know what that is. We are going to make sure you have your little snacks. We're going to make sure you have your little tokens, your promotion, your promotional items. We're gonna launch our loan promotion on Thursday as well. Of course, I like to get ahead of the game, so I'm already putting that up. Our members are already calling. That's one thing about our members. We know it's spending time. Christmas is right around the corner, so of course, the members are already calling and asking about the loan promotion. Members come in, sometimes the board members come through or the volunteers come through, and they're able to greet the members, answer any questions that they may have on that particular day. On Friday, we have a little mini health fair where we bring the nurses in and they will do the pressure checks along with the diabetes check. So that is also free. Usually the nurses would give the advice about how they can take care of themselves, things that they shouldn't do, how they could, kind of pull back on some of the things that they're eating. So again, we try our very best throughout the week to come up with activities that will give back to the members, because again, that is part of our operating principles. On 26th of this month, we will be doing the breast cancer walk, and we've been doing this for quite a number of years now. Both the volunteers and staff, we come together and we walk as a team, so that is a plus for us. So we've put together a program that our members can definitely enjoy. They would understand that we're giving back to them. It's about them, it's about benefiting them, it's about making sure that we are cooperating, we are being cooperative. So that is our program for this week, and I'm going to turn it over to my compatriot here from First Federal Credit Union.
Good evening again, and it's a lot we're doing for the membership. Very proud to hear from our fellow credit unions the effort and the energies that we're putting in to make sure that we really give, focus on our members and really make sure that we award. I heard about awards, award and really put a footprint in the federation that the credit union movement really care about the members. And uniquely for us, First Federal Credit Union, we have a presence in both St. Kitts and in Nevis. And so we jump-started the Credit Union Week last week, and we joined with the Nevis Island Administration for their annual Seniors Walk. And so we walked that walk in Nevis last week, Tuesday. Very inspiring, because I happen to be walking with 85-year-olds. When I got tired, the 85-year-old encouraged me to keep going. And so, I don't know if it's a Nevis thing, but very impressed. And we were very excited to be here and really walk with the seniors. And continuing on that trend of, being physically fit, we this week on actual Credit Union Day, which is our usual open day, we are twisting it a bit, and we are going to have a fair in the St. Kitts office just out front, the open parking lot, and it's dubbed a financial fit. You need to be financially fit as well as physically fit. And so we are very privileged to have a membership base that include doctors, that include people who are very good financial advisors. And so we have doctors, we have nurses, we have people, we are joining with the Diabetic Association, coming out to really inform, members, about things that we probably take for granted. And so we are using our own members to do this education. We have a group that's coming in who does body care, cosmetology, to spend some time with us for the day. and inform us, about our bodies and how we should be well. And in terms of the financial wellness, we need to be financially fit as well. And so we have financial advisors coming in to give some tips on budgeting, basic tips on financing that we take for granted. And it's part of the movement of the credit union to inform people to be financially fit and to make good investment decisions. And so that is what is happening on our open day on Thursday. And with the focus not just on members but the staff, we are coming over to Nevis on Saturday and we're going to be climbing the Nevis Peak. Yes, we're going to be climbing the Nevis Peak. So we're going to take the advice on Thursday and we're going to put it into action on Saturday. How about that? Just in 2 days, we put that into action. All right, so those are our activities for Credit Union Week. And I'll turn over to my other sister credit union, the Nevis Credit Union, to bring you up to speed with what's happening on that end.
Okay, Webo, at the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union, as was mentioned earlier, we joined with our counterparts in St. Kitts and we had a wonderful time. On Sunday, that is having gone to church at Shiloh Baptist at 11 o'clock. Yesterday, Monday, was a big day. It was the day of presentations and donations. And we, as we have done over the years, made contributions to the Social Services Seniors Division, as well as, for the first time, the Community Health Services in place of the Alexandra Hospital, and also to the Pink Lily Cancer Care Awareness Program. We also had our scholarship holders presented with scholarships and yesterday, and we had the Charlestown Secondary School, Faith Watley, and the Gingerland Secondary School, Shama Otley and Kijari Huggins. We want to congratulate them, and we hope that they will do well in school and represent the credit union as good ambassadors. Today, Tuesday, we should have distributed baskets to elderly persons, but I understand that activity was postponed until tomorrow. And we are hoping to visit some of our pioneers and very senior members of the credit union. Persons like Arthur Evelyn, who is the most significant contributing pioneer, who gave his office upstairs, the drugstore, to the Nevis Credit Union's operation for over 10 years, free of rent. And that's a very significant contribution from an individual member. Fitzroy Williams, who is member number 2, he joined the credit union in 1965, the second person on the book after the late Ingle Blackett, and his wife Patricia Williams, who was a member of the supervisory committee, Janet Claxton, who was a member of the credit committee, Donald Hanley, the husband of one of our long-standing staff, Kamala Hanley, and we have persons like Ruth Thompson and Louis Wilkinson, members of very long-standing who have been with us for many years and are still very active, even though they are seniors. So that's the activity coming up tomorrow and Thursday. On Wednesday, in particular, there is the relaunch of the School Cooperatives Societies program, which we initiated in 2000 and gave a bit of a boost sometime later on when we had adopted the primary school cooperatives. And so we are going to relaunch and rebrand and bring them all under one umbrella under the Ministry of Education. We will give them technical and financial support so that we can move them into the 21st century. On Thursday, which is the big day, International Credit Union Day, our staff would be here at Fun Radio, Morning Inspiration. And later in the day, our president, Mrs. Vanessa Walters, will address our members. And for the rest of the day, there will be 2 big activities. Open house, where our members can come in and, ask any question, make any suggestion, and learn about the credit union's operation, and also update their personal records. It is critical that for know your customer information. Your personal data is needed to satisfy the KYC, know your customer, or KYM, know your member status for the credit union member. So we invite the members in to do that. And during the day also would be the second annual health fair being put on by the Blackett's family in honor of Mr. Ingle Blackett, the late Ingle Blackett, the founder and pioneer of the credit union. And this would be coordinated by Dr. Linton Leiber Jr., his grandson. And he has a team with him of doctors and nurses from the hospital who will be there at the credit union in the parking lot. And we're inviting the members to come out, the general public to come out. Get your blood sugar check, your blood pressure, your biomass, and whatever else you think you would need to know. It is free for the day. Compliments the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union and the Blackett's family. Friday is our Customer Appreciation Day. Usually, tokens and refreshments are available for everyone who would visit us on that day. And on Saturday, the staff want to exercise their physical skills and abilities, and they've chosen to do a nature hike. We heard that they are going to Nevis Peak. I wish them well.
Well, having heard so much, I think it is time for the Police Cooperative Credit Union to actually bring on board a marketing person, a marketing manager to our staff. I do believe that the Police Cooperative Credit Union is sort of under-marketed, or in terms of its community involvement and in terms of its existence. However, I must say that we are a closed credit union who strongly believes that our members are, in fact, our movement. And in saying this, I just want to publicly put on record our condolences for a few members whom have fallen. One includes Mr. Franks, or one of our co-founders, who passed away last year. We also have Sergeant Pemberton, who was also the chairman of the credit committee. He passed away this year. And we have had also active members, persons like Alfred Willett and Patrick Lewis, who would have passed away recently. In relation to our members being our movement, unfortunately, we at the Police Cooperative Credit Union was not able this time around for this week to actually have a sort of eventful week with robust activities. And so we, as the credit union, will have a week of activities later on this year. However, what I can say is that on Thursday this week, we will have our open house in which persons will be able to come in, members will be able to come in and basically be further educated about the movement of the credit union, being able to come in and, have open dialogue and exchange with management and also with, staff, and to be any questions that you may have, concerns, queries that you may not be able to ask in the normal day-to-day operations of the credit union. Feel free to come on Thursday, and we'll address those concerns. Just to give you a little bit more insight about the Police Cooperative Credit Union, our office is based in St. Kitts on Keon Street. However, we have strategic relationships with the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union. We realize that our membership exists on both sides of the divide. And because the office is only in St. Kitts, we actually would have created that relationship to ease, the ease of doing business for the members. At the end of last year, we had on record just 674 members. Now, that is a very small number in terms of doing business, a small membership. And that is why we believe that it is very, very important for the membership to be professionally satisfied. And I put the word professionally because it is not that every expectation of satisfaction that a credit union can meet. But once we meet the professional expectations, I do believe along the way we'll be able to gain much satisfaction. One of the reasons why we're not able to have, I would say, an eventful week in terms of Credit Union Week is that we are actually planning for our AGM, which will be held on the 21st of October at the Marriott in St. Kitts. Now, as you will take note, the dates are very close, and everybody here as being credit union officials will know what it takes to, basically have a good AGM. Now, within the Police Cooperative Credit Union, although we can be easily criticized and say, basically by saying that our AGM is outside of the regulatory framework, and we're having the AGM way down in October. I think when I said to you earlier, Mr. Newton, that our members are in fact our movement, what we did in January of this year is that we ensured that we disbursed a partial dividend to all members in advance of the anticipated delay in relation to the AGM. We have, as a credit union, we have had challenges, and basically we understand the implications of IFRS 9 and its whole impact on the whole auditing system, the accounting, the whole operations of the credit union. And so getting prepared for this in full with a very small staff, just about maybe five persons, with much experience. We have 1 or 2 training staff at the moment, but 5 persons with much experience. It's an operation which I would say that the Police Cooperative Credit Union should really be proud of for its measure of growth across the last 35 years. When we look at when the credit union was formed, just in 1984, 20th of January, we realized that the assets were just under $70,000. Today, at the end of 2018, we're looking at about $47.3 million in assets. And so with a small staff, a small group, 674 members at the end of 2018, I think that, the figures of the Police Cooperative Credit Union are figures which needs to be properly marketed. The community needs to understand the strength of the movement. Now, membership. Who are members of the Police Cooperative Credit Union? We have serving members of the police force. We have members of the defense force. We have persons from the fire and rescue services. We have persons from Her Majesty's Prison. We also have persons from SCASPA, which is St. Christopher A. Support Authority, and we have traffic wardens, island constables, local constables. These are persons who really comprise, and of course their spouses and children. One of the things that the credit union, the Police Cooperative Credit Union, is aiming to do in preparation for 2020 and beyond is to see how we can have this number 674 grow. We must grow it sustainably though. And it's like, how should I put it? I mean, do we just open up, or do we remain closed? And those are the kind of discussions and challenges that we now face, because with a small group, and Peter Jenkins will be able to tell you that there's only so much times somebody can co-make for another. And so when you have organizations like the FSRC, regulatory restraints, which says, okay, you're overusing a co-maker, how do you keep the principles of the credit union alive? And so one of the things that we are trying to do is not really to open up full scale, but to see how we can include family of the existing members. For example, siblings of a particular member, the nieces, the nephews of members. How can we begin to have not just the father, the mother, and the children, but the entire family of Jenkins? How can we have the entire family, of the Hectors and so forth, to be a part of what I will term this great movement? And so this is something that we will have to take to our AGM by way of a resolution to get the necessary permissions, if I may put it that way, to actually move the credit union in a way that it is regulatory compliant, yet still it satisfies the needs of the whole membership of the credit union. We have consistently, and I touched on dividends, and I said we paid 10%, as a partial payment, Rebel. I'm still wondering how you can become a member, Rebel, how I could capture you on this side to get some of these dividends. But I guess there's hope in the future. We have had consistently for the past...
You do loans?
Sorry? Yes, we do.
You do loans?
Yes, we do.
Well, when you're finished with your presentation, I can tell you how.
Okay, great. Also, we have had, in the past two or 3 years, we have averaged our dividends basically at about 20% of the investment. I mean, we have been criticized, I believe, maybe unofficially. How do we manage in a time like this to pay that large percentage? I think that the general manager of the credit union ought to be highly commended. It is not easy managing with little resources, yet keeping your ratios in line, and at the AGM you can at least see the members smile. It is a good feeling. I do believe that the contribution of Mr. Wigley as a general manager is basically etched in the history of the credit union. All the credit unions went through a difficult time in 2014 when we had to move over to permanent shares. And I think with his vision and his style of leadership through that critical time is why we can actually today, 5 years later, be giving something worthwhile to the members who have decided to invest their capital to ensure the continued growth of the Police Cooperative Credit Union. And I just want to go on record to say that the general manager has been doing a good job with limited resources, with a lot of restraints, but we are hoping that we can continue to build the organization and to bring greater talent into the Police Cooperative Credit Union. No longer the business of the credit union can be done like how it was done 35 years ago. We are now in a digitalized world. We now need to be flexible to the needs of our members. No longer we just have members who basically are employed in whatever sector of the workforce, and just collecting, I would say, a payment and want to have cash in their pocket. Everybody now needs to have basically a credit card, a debit card. Everybody needs to be able to have access to the outer and international world. We need to have global reach. And so if all our members now have global reach, and I normally put it this way, if now, for example, the fishermen are using GPS and they're actually using what I will term electronic engines on their boats, then it means that we as a credit union have to be able to adjust to the needs of that particular fisherman so that he can be able to use his resources to better his craft by being able to do transactions in the international world. And all sectors, and with 35 years of growth, also means that your members now, whether by their spouses or by their children, they are in a much more advanced position than they were 35 years ago. So the head of the home is not just the parents now, it is the children who have gone away to study, who have bettered themselves and become professionals, and now lending that supporting hand to their parents, if I put it that way. And it creates a problem for the credit union's existence when you find that we can't keep the competitive edge with the banking institutions and other financial institutions if we as a credit union are not as strongly digitalized and basically, I would say, techno-savvy in terms of today's world. So, as a credit union, we have our challenges, but I think that we are doing well in terms of the principles and the movement. And it's all about cooperation, collaboration, and we are here as the Police Cooperative Credit Union basically to support the movement and all other credit unions. There exists very good relationships, very good networking among all credit unions, and we look forward to the continued growth and development of the league and for all of us working together.
Okay, I want to ask, but are we through it all? Everybody's okay. But I want to ask a question first off, and I probably will first address Mr. Hector since he spoke last. Just some basic information. The Police Cooperative, is it open only to law officers, or is it open to the general public?
Well, presently it's closed. It's a closed credit union.
It's closed, a credit union.
So just select offices, select persons And when I mentioned the different organizations, I forgot to indicate that civilian staff and auxiliary persons who are attached to these institutions are also become members automatically.
So that perhaps will be one of the inhibitors in terms of your
Definitely.
expected growth.
Definitely.
So it is by statute, law, or something that you cannot open it up to the general populace to give you a better base.
Well, in order to get a better base, you have to go back to the agent because of your bylaws. Not necessarily statutory, but in terms of your bylaws, in the
Yes.
reason why you were created, the reason why you're here, the reason why you exist. And it requires the membership to say, do we go forward in that direction or we don't?
Then have they considered that? And
Well,
because I'm getting the impression that you're suggesting that you need to grow your base.
well, what I'm suggesting is that there's benefit in growing the base, but I think there needs to be technical discussions which needs to be had at this stage
Yes.
as to how do we grow, when do we grow, at what rate do we grow. You can sit from an emotional standpoint and say we need to grow or we don't need to grow, because those debates exist. The question is, do we have the intellectual support to guide the process? And that is something that we are working on as a board to basically provide informed professional
And that is growing in numbers.
growing numbers. Yes.
But I jot down some other numbers here which suggest you don't have a problem with growth. Because is 47 million a real figure
Yes, sir.
in assets? Yeah, well, it doesn't seem to me there that you have a problem with growth. But anyway, Mr. Jenkins, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, I wanted to say that Mr. Hector was being kind, and there is also an emotional problem, you see, because when the credit union was formed, it was formed by decree. That's a big word, but basically the commissioner at the time, Stanley Franks, recognized that a lot of police officers were running into trouble. And you know, they had a number of demands being made upon them regularly and were not able to satisfy those demands. And he decided that he would have to bring the police organization out of that dilemma. And so he said he's creating a credit union along with Felix Hodge, and each member of the police force must join. The police officers had no choice. It was by decree. There was resistance, but today a lot of them enjoy some spacious buildings, etc., and assets as a result. And they look back now and thank Mr. Frank. So should we now spread that to other people based on the history of the movement or the history of that credit union? Or do we, because when I worked out the value per member, it came up to something like $72,643 per member, right? They have 647 members and I think it's $47 million in assets.
Yeah.
That they have the highest ratio among all of the credit unions.
And that's why I jotted it down, because I found it, because I
They have a lot of money.
work along numbers too. And
As I
found
said
it
earlier, there's need
fascinating.
for marketing. You know, there's some nice figures in the credit union which the public needs to know about how well we are doing as an institution. You know,
But you see, the problem though is that if the public needs to know so that they can do what? Because I got intrigued by your story, but I'm finding out that the door is closed.
Well, but that's why Nevis is here. That's why St. Kitts is there, and that's why First Federal is there, because we are all open bond credit unions. You don't. There are no restrictions. There are no restrictions.
Yeah, and you know, to follow up on the point that Mr. Jenkins was making in terms of the commencement of the police credit union, and I also had made some jottings in some previous information that I had about credit unions, and I found it very intriguing in terms of the philosophy of the credit union, and looking at West Indian societies and life. And I ask a question, Mr. Jenkins, and anyone else who would like to perhaps add to it or answer. Is why is it seemingly the credit unions, based on your various reports, seem to be such success stories? And with the same sort of people, same people who join, some of the same people who join these credit unions and these success stories, participate in other types of cooperatives, including cricket associations, and let's use West Indies Cricket Board, and so on and so forth. And it doesn't seem to work, for lack of sometimes trust, etc., etc. So, when you look at it as overall in the society and the philosophy of credit unions, because when I was reading up and I found the history of it and the benefits that you get from joining credit unions, and the successful credit unions is based, a heavy part of it is trust.
If I could make hazard a guess, and I'm sure that all of the members of the panel would like to address this point, it is for me one of the reasons why I'm still here in the movement, yeah? Because I think I have a strong consciousness of who we are and what our generation needs to leave for the next generation. I came through the pit latrine, Thibault Avenue, McKnight, what one would probably call ghetto. Second chance child, maybe a third chance child. I got to high school at 14, yeah? And having been trained in various areas, had the opportunity to be trained in various areas, got the opportunity. Mr. Webb from First Federal came to me after I was thrown out of football and said, come and help us. You can help. You can help us. After Jack Warner put me to the pasture, put me out in the pasture. Yeah, he sent me. And luckily he did, because I might have been in jail.
Yep.
So he did me a good turn. Yeah? He put me out to pasture. I remember very well in the Bahamas. Said no, he didn't want me around. So James, came for me and said, come and help. And it fell in with my philosophy, yeah, of helping. And one of the things that intrigued me about this movement, which I keep hammering at people, is that it belongs to us, controlled by us. No outside force, us. We own it. Everything belongs to us. We direct it, we shape it, we run it. And we show that we are capable and that we can deliver excellence. And so the success stories of these four organizations, to me, is critical for our young people to understand that we are special people, that we are capable.
So, Mr. Jenkins, you're uniquely placed to answer the direct question. And then, in case you mentioned quotation, after they threw me out of the football association, right? So why didn't that work? Because I perhaps will take the liberty to argue that some of the same people who are in these successful credit unions were also in the football association. So why are these?
On the ear.
I could answer.
I can
you.
answer
Okay,
you.
well let the lady answer me then.
I can't
okay.
answer you all of it on the ear.
Yeah, okay.
But there is regulation as well. Yes.
Yes.
The credit unions are.
You see, I'm searching for some help for the other areas of the society, so we can bring it along as well, because it will, all go well for us as a people, as a whole.
I think
That's what we do, you see. We try to.
I think it's my turn to pinch hit here.
Yes.
I think it has to do with motive. And the reason why I say motive is because cooperatives, the core of the cooperative is people helping people to help themselves. That is the core. And so one of the major things that feed into that core is that the persons who serve on the boards and on the committees are volunteers. They don't get paid to be on the board. You get paid to be on a football board.
Oh, they do? No?
Yes.
Yes.
But they
You
don't
get
for
paid
cricket,
to be
right,
on-
Sydney? They do for cricket as well?
Yes.
Not when I
Oh,
was,
now?
not when I was there.
Now, when he was there,
Oh, really? Okay.
all right. And so persons who serve on these boards and committees are taking their knowledge and their experience and bringing it to the organizations so that they can feed into the organizations, so into the cooperatives, and the members in a collective manner reap the benefits of that. So everybody's pooling, not just their money. They're pooling their knowledge, they're pooling their experience, they're pooling everything together, and everybody gets a piece of the pie. So it speaks to motive.
Yeah. But in addition to what both Mr. Jenkins and Mr. Charles said, it is really rooted in the international credit union principles. There are 7 principles that guide the credit union movement. And they are the bedrock for the success of the credit union movement international. The success that you hear about in St. Kitts and Nevis is the same success that you'll hear in any part of Africa, Latin America, the rest of the Caribbean, and so on. They're basically, as Julie just mentioned, voluntary membership. Nobody is forced to join the credit union. It's an open bond. You come in, there's no discrimination, whether by race, politics, religion, sex, orientation, anything. All right? Everybody is a member equal. The second one is democratic control, member control, which was mentioned earlier. There's one man, one vote. It doesn't matter how much money a person has in the credit union, in shares or deposits. They come to the AGM, they have one vote, just as much as another person who has the minimum. So there's no one set of people, a group of people, who can override or influence any certain decisions. Then there's the members' economic participation. The members are the owners. The credit union is set up for the members, by the members, and they're the ones who participate in the activities. They save and they borrow. And so you hear that we don't lend to non-members. So remember, that's why you can't get a loan from the Police Credit Union or from Nevis Credit Union until you join the credit union. Only members benefit. And then it is autonomous and independent. We are not influenced by anybody, whether politicians or otherwise. We collaborate with government to make rules and laws to guide us, and we abide by them. We dialogue, but they don't influence the credit unions. It is the members who do. The 5th principle has to do with education and training and information. That's what we try to do, and that's why we are here tonight, to try to educate the general public and our members, shed some awareness as to what we really are and how everybody who comes on board can benefit. And then there is the one which Mr. Hector spoke about earlier, cooperation among cooperatives. Every credit union is not the same. We don't have the same size, or capacity, technology, and so we share our resources. And where, for example, they do not have a credit union in Nevis, we have stepped up to facilitate the police. And so we make special provision for them. For example, an officer in Nevis who comes to Nevis Credit Union in uniform is taken from the back of the line and brought to the front, given special privileges and service, because we value security, and we say we don't want them to be in the line standing along. They must be back out on the road at the police station to get provide security for the country. All right, and so we do that for them, and there's no cost to it. That's a service that we provide for the police credit union. And then the last is concern for community. You hear about all the things that we do for the communities, St. Kitts, First Federal Police. we live in a community. What we do benefit the community, and so we give back to the community. That is why we can donate to Pink Lily, to the hospital, to the nurses, to the schools, and every other organization that we do to, because we come from the community, the members come from the community, and as was mentioned earlier on, they are not paid, they are volunteers.
Hence,
So we can-
hence the reason for my probe,
Yes,
the exact concern for the community,
yes.
and the community is lacking in success with a lot of in a lot of other areas, and I mentioned certain areas. They have other areas, but with sports organizations where we have a lot of talent and so on and so forth, but we don't seem to
They
be
lack
able
guiding-
to.
They lack guiding principles.
But this is what I'm saying. So the question is, why are we able to be speaking, talking about so many success stories when the credit unions that we're speaking about are of and operate indeed in the same community?
It's a type of glue, Webber. And as Ms. Charles said, the motive, you know.
So we may find that, let's say, 6 of us might be in a credit union, and maybe 3 or 4 different credit unions. We're very successful. And then we find ourselves now to organize the Cricket Association, and then we put on a different motive. Really?
Correct.
Well, I wouldn't say you put on a different motive. What I say is that sometimes you're outnumbered, you know. I think good men always walk with goodwill.
No, but it's always been an interesting, you know, concern, and
I hope you're
always-
not suggesting that Peter's motive changed. Really.
No, I'm
Interesting point.
yeah,
Interesting point.
because I know that
His
you
motive
know,
doesn't change. That's why he got thrown out.
right in the
And that is why
80s,
so many of my former colleagues are where they are now.
right, in the 80s
Motive, right?
and so on, you know, when cricket and football were the mecca of the islands, you know, but seemingly there is some issues with the management, and I think Ms. Charles mentioned the monies, or it might have been Sydney, Ms. Charles, that they're not paid to be on these organizations and so on. Well, anyway,
Just one point,
Yes.
Weber. When I went into football, as my national service. I had gotten my first degree and second degree free through scholarships, from the Canadian government. I went to Trinidad and I saw their football system there. I saw their standard and I said, no, we can do better than them. And I came home and I said, that would be my national service. I will give back to my country because I got the privilege of free education. So that was my motive.
It was always good.
There were other
Should-
people with other motives.
should based on the capacity and the capabilities that we have as a people, and being able to be so successful with cooperatives, should we be doing better, generally speaking? Even with political organizations as well, they don't seem to have many of those, and to have the longevity in terms of going forward. Sometimes in most places you only have 2.
But Weber, what I know of the Caribbean, there are many of our leaders in the credit union movement who transcended from the credit union movement into politics right across the Caribbean. You know, and I think that they took with them this whole element of service. I don't know what happened when they got there.
But that's what I was about to ask you, because sometimes. But anyway, to on to another thing. I know that perhaps maybe most people know, but the basis of getting into the credit unions and getting a loan, and you just indicated that you'll have to be a member to get loans and so on from the organization. But when you look at the benefits, why do you think the majority of the population still do most of their financial dealings with the banks?
Oh, I think you have somehow. I think you have your figures wrong.
Oh, really?
So too.
Yeah.
I think you're really.
But I'm subject to be informed and educated.
All right. So
So you're suggesting to me that
The majority.
in our societies the financial
The masses are with the credit union.
well, let me just throw a figure out there for you. Currently, the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union has over 17,000 members.
so they do better than the banks in terms of
In terms of,
numbers, but not in terms of the magnitude in terms of
That's a
dollars,
different,
right?
that's a different matter.
Is
That's
it?
a different
so
matter.
why?
You see, because the credit unions deal with who the banks usually in the past. This is why the reason why the credit union was formed, because there are persons who are classified as unbanked. They did not qualify to enter into the formal banking system. And so the credit union was set up to accommodate those people. But what has happened in recent times is not only that that group of people has grown, there are people who are banked have now been gravitating to the credit union.
perfect
And as the
example.
governor of the central bank would tell you that the credit union sector is the fastest growing financial institution in the OECS.
A perfect example of that is, I think it was a year or two ago, when Royal Bank decided that they would start to charge persons for saving. And I can tell you this, that had a trickle-down effect for the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union, because we started getting massive deposits from persons who would have been saving their monies with Royal Bank and decided that they were not going to take on that fee. And so they went down to Royal Bank and they brought the checks up to us. And so I think for us, it's a matter of expanding the benefits that we give to our members, because there are certain things that we cannot do. For example, we don't do wires, we don't do wire transfers. So you will find the members who eventually have to go to a bank to do a wire transfer. But everything else, there are certain things that we do that they won't do. There are certain things that we would assist our members with or try to help our members with. For example, a member might not be qualify for a $15,000 loan. A bank would say, sorry, you don't qualify. A credit union would say, you know what, you may not qualify for this 15, but let's look at 10. Let's see if you can make 10. And they may incorporate a savings plan within that loan, so that when that member is finished paying off that loan, they have a little cushion of a savings they are waiting. A bank will never do that for them, because the bank's focus is to make money. So they're not going to encourage you to save. They're not going to ask you to save. They're going to discourage you because they want you to borrow. We are going to say, you know what? We have the option of saving. We have the option of borrowing. But here what? You're going to borrow. We're going to help you to save in the meantime. So members are definitely understanding the benefits of being part of a credit union, and they're telling their families and their friends. When I do surveys, my highest response in terms of how do you find out about the credit union is TikTok, family and friends. Not the radio, not the television, not the Instagram, not the Facebook. They tell me family and friends. So it is spreading. Persons are understanding what they're getting back from being a part of the credit union, and they're telling their family and friends.
The fact that the way the philosophy is, the way it is set up, the way it is run, therefore, do you have a lot of problems with delinquencies with loans?
Unfortunately, yes. Sometimes when you are... One thing I love to say about credit unions, we are a family. In the studio with you, you have 4 credit unions. And we are financial institutions, and we really should be competing, but we don't, because we are sister credit unions. So I can call my friend here from First Federal and say, girl, such and such, how do you deal with that? She said, girl, I deal with it this way. I can call Mr. Newton, I can call Mr. Jenkins, I can call Hector and say, hey, I'm having this problem, how did you deal with it? But when you have a family environment, they automatically assume, I'm going to pay you later. I'm going to pay courts, and I'm going to pay hospitals, and I'm going to pay TDC, and man, y'all a family. Y'all ain't going. And we don't normally come down extremely heavy like the other financial institutions. The other financial institutions, you pay them, you miss a payment once, twice, you're in the courthouse. we're going to call you and try and say, come in and talk to us.
Human
And
side,
then,
human
yes,
side.
we're going to say, come in and talk to us. Let's see how we can fix it. Can we help you in refinancing it? Make the payments. We're going to go through all of that before we reach courthouse. So, you know, human nature is that, yeah, they ain't gonna come no hard on me. They could wait.
So you do have those.
Of course. But we're working through that.
Remember, we are also controlled by the regulations, and therefore there are ratios that you have to meet. So even though there's a tendency for persons to delay payment, we have to make the ratios, and therefore more and more we have to insist that payment is made on time, because they understand if you do not put the money back in, there's no money to give to other people as loans. And so we are becoming more and more strict to make sure that persons understand that they have to fulfill their obligations. When you look at the records from each of the credit unions, you would see that there's a reduction in the delinquency ratio over the past 5 years.
Well, but there's a critical part, you know, to the whole credit union business, and that is our social orientation. I know, as a financial institution, persons more focus on the economic, the financial and economic part, but there's a social contribution that we make. And so, for example, we have a lot of products which are geared towards the family, helping them. For example, some of our credit unions, if not all, we provide an automatic insurance for our members. As long as you become a member, your savings are automatically insured up to a set amount, and your loans likewise. The members don't pay for that. In the event of death of the member or permanent dismemberment, the insurance, which is the credit union's insurance, pays the loan off. As a matter of fact, the original idea was that the debt dies with the debtor. However, the debts have become bigger than what we cover, and so we have asked members to go to other insurance companies to make up the difference. Okay, so that happens. That doesn't happen in any other financial institution. We also have a very special product called the Family Indemnity Plan, which people don't like because they say that it has to do with death. But you know, all of us will die one day, and so we try to help the member to ease the burden in the time when the burden is greatest, time of loss, and especially if the loss is the death is the breadwinner or somebody. And we have this plan, which we just got increased from a maximum of $15,000 to $30,000, with 20,000 and 25,000 plans in between. Where the plan covers 6 persons in the family: the member's spouse or significant other. Credit union is so generous, you don't have to be married. You only have to show that you've been living with somebody for a period of time. You are a significant other covered. The children up to age 25, parents or in-laws. The cost for one person can carry 6 persons. I mean, where in the world do you hear that besides in the credit union movement? And when we make claims, the members make claims, payment is guaranteed within 48 hours. So long before the funeral, you know, they have their checks to take to, you know, the funeral home, so that it eases the burden, even during those stressful times. So these are some of the things we do. Besides, all the credit unions have their disaster funds, which are set up to help credit union members either at home or abroad, wherever the situation may arise. And whether the members contribute or not, the funds are established, and we help each other out globally. So these are things that the credit unions do, outside of just giving loans, taking your savings and giving you interest and dividends on your investments and so on.
A term was used earlier, financially fit, and you're focusing on that. And I want to ask a question. Generally speaking, you think our population is financially literate as we should be?
I'm gonna come in here. I think I'm a bit quiet. But one of the things we do as a credit union movement, once we have the opportunity to interact with a member, it's not just about, you know, I'm here to have a loan and this is what we're going to talk about. As my colleague said, you come in and it's for, you want 15,000, you can't afford it, it's 10. We don't just offer you 10, but we go even deeper to find out, you know, what are your finances looking like? How could I make your situation better? And that session turns into almost a coaching session. It turns into a budget session. And the member leaves very empowered that they are in a better situation now than when they came in to see you first. And so our interaction, because we are so focused on this is our family, we really got to make sure that we go beyond, you know, just a regular interaction, because we really want to make sure at the end of the day, you know, you're in a better position than you were when you came in to see us. And so we transform those sessions into financial awareness and budgeting, and people come back to us and say, I'm not here for a loan, but you spoke to me about this, and I really want us to continue talking about it. And I'm sure my other colleagues could testify to those situations where you really take it beyond just an interview for a loan.
So in essence, you found that in terms of the populace and persons and so on, they can do with some financial guidance.
Guidance, yes. And I was going to talk about this, and I'm going to talk about, you know, in terms of interest rates, the misnomer was, you know, previous years, you know, that the credit union interest rates are to the roof. We've come a long way, and our products are so good that, you know, the banks really getting a beating, if you want to put it that way, because we have really met people where they are, and it's not a box percentage rate anymore. And so if you present yourself to us and we see that you're somebody who has good financial sense, I mean, your interest rate looks the way your finances look. And so we're not boxed into it, we are flexible. And, you know, we try to accommodate people, you know, based on how successful you are, how your finances are looking. And so our interest rates are no longer, this is the interest rate that you're getting, and I can't move up, I can't move down.
So the basis for the interest rates to vary between myself and Mr. Hector, for instance, is not necessarily on what people like to charge, accuse of favoritism, but rather basically due to the financial strength.
Yes. I think I said that probably for credit unions.
And however, it's just not about just the interest rates. It's the terms and conditions generally, you know, because one affects the other, you know, whether your term of the credit facility, you know, or your interest rate, you know. And the credit unions basically try to, as we have said it all night, you know, practice that social responsibility to help the member. Because if you can help a member who doesn't, or who is unbanked, who doesn't qualify for a facility, but that member will pay, then you don't have a delinquent loan. I'm not suggesting that you can measure the social aspect of it, or the sociological approach to lending. But what I'm saying is that in one institution, you say, okay, you don't meet the requirements, you don't have this input. Whereas you come to the credit union, you say, how do we make it work? Do we hold out another 2 months until we, you know, allow you to get a part-time job in the meanwhile? Let us see what is happening. It may not be a salary reduction, which you can do, but a lot of it sometimes boils down to say, will this member pay? And I think credit union organizations have that niche, that acumen to know when a member will pay. I'm not sure if you get
It seems like you do, because you've been coaxing me all night to get a loan, trying to get a loan. So you seem that you have the ability to know who will pay. Yes, well, let me just get a break and come right back with the members of the cooperative credit unions back after these.
Builders Paradise is offering a large variety of floor and wall tiles at very competitive prices. We've got over 2 million pieces in stock, lots of different styles to choose from. Whether you're renovating or tiling a new house, Builders Paradise has what you need. Oh, and remember, we're open all day Saturday to serve you better. Call them today at 466-4938.
With all the power from the tower, this is the powerhouse of the Eastern Caribbean, VON Radio, from the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis.
Back in this episode of Thought That Get Results with members of the St. Kitts Nevis National Cooperative Cooperative League Limited. The week of activities, I know that various credit unions are having their different activities and so on and so forth, but you all are celebrating under a particular theme for the week or for the month. What's it?
It's global service.
Local service.
Local service, global reach. That's the theme for this week.
And might we just indicate quickly again, the credit union day is when? Thursday. Mm-hmm.
It's usually celebrated the third Thursday in October every year, and has been so for the last 50 plus years.
Mm-hmm.
And the other cooperative credit unions, we said that we learned that the police cooperative credit union is closed to a specific clientele, right? Are there any other unions that are closed to specific clienteles as well?
No. I'm a member of Nevis Cooperative, and I'm a member of First Federal, soon to be a member of St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union.
Peter, I cannot believe that you have not opened an account with us. We're going to have a conversation after this show.
So you could be a member of more than one.
More than
You're
one.
not limited.
And you've found that over the past recent years that the membership is going satisfactorily?
More than
People have more
satisfactorily,
content, mhm.
more than. I have made my children sign up. So, and because I understand the benefits of the credit union movement, and we have seen it in the numbers, these guys are growing at a fast rate. Growing at a fast rate.
With a consequence, Peter.
In some cases, I've seen,
Everything has a consequence.
Yes.
at least in one case, I've seen 1,000 members per year. Yeah, that's the kind of growth that we're talking about.
But-
So it's moving.
But again, the philosophy on which the credit union is built and the cooperative, I'm still very intrigued on how people gravitate to that, and it seems to work because you have many success stories.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put the same population of persons in different areas of the society, sometimes they don't seem to exhibit that same spirit. And I'm really interested in finding out why, because I'm of the view that if we can translate that to other areas, what a beautiful society we'll have.
That is very true, but I think it has to do with environment as well. I said motive, now I'm saying environment. Because if you're in a group and there is groupthink and everybody within that group is focused on helping people to help themselves, then that is how the group will operate. But if you take those same persons and put them in an environment where that is not the philosophy, then they will act differently. And I think that is what has happened. We've not been able to transpose that behavior from the cooperatives into our bigger society. But I see that you're really holding on to that point, boy, because you're trying to figure out what is going on. It's like a needle in a haystack for you.
Yeah.
And Weber, I mean, we mentioned, as you said, motive and environment. Let's even look at the environment as it relates to growth as a consequence as well. The growth has been so attractive, not only to the members, but outside organizations and agencies, that now we are now becoming the focus of, from the eagle's eyes are looking down on us as a group.
Of course.
So even though you may say that, okay, there's something good happening in the credit union, in our environment, there's that piercing eye that
the outside forces,
are
that look
saying,
at us and say, well, how come you can regulate us this way, but the credit unions are not being regulated like we are being regulated? Because that's what the banks are saying. Well, how is it that credit unions can do this, but we can't do this? And so once ago, we had a little more flexibility. Now we have
Changing environment. Changing
a
environment.
very much changing environment. They
Yeah,
want
and
to
then you
constrain the way we do things with our members.
And you think-
so we have to find creative ways to get around that.
And you think that those restrictions and constraints and so on and so forth can perhaps make it difficult?
It
To
has.
be a-
it
But
Yeah.
definitely, Webo, if the governments continue or go in the direction in which they have been pointed by international agencies, which I shall not name, then the credit union will not be able to do what the credit unions were created to do.
So, in other words, it is taking away your creativity and put you to operate in parameters which may be difficult for you
Impossible.
to get the sort of
Because remember,
success
we
that
started off with the unbanked, and just like the Bible said that the poor you will always have with you, so it is with the credit union. We
But-
will always have the unbanked with us.
So is there a requirement? So you have to do that? Why do you have to conform to it? Is it because you're therefore now controlling people's money, and therefore they're saying that as a consequence of that, so that we don't have another
Right.
British American
And so
insurance?
there are arguments for, and we have no issues with that. Really, we have no issues with that, but
and even if we were to go back to the whole idea of motive, what we would realize is that rather than, we actually appreciate what exists, the question is you actually now basically say, well, let's not adopt it. Let us now, because the motive is different on two different ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
And as Mr. Newton said, the credit union will always be there for those who are unbanked. And basically it's about helping people to help themselves and to help others.
But the regulators
And
may
so what happens
find
is that you
yes.
have one motive in a credit union environment, and then in another environment and other environments, like how you mentioned about football and cricket and all these things, the motive is different. The question is, would you be outnumbered? Would your voice be outnumbered? Would your movement eventually be outnumbered? Just like how the individual moves away from the credit union and goes into another environment, and he or she becomes outnumbered. And so there is a change. Again, would the institution of the league become outnumbered by the voices or by the different motives that compete within a financial environment?
So you see a real threat in that, the regulations?
well, there's always been, but there is some hope. We have had lots of dialogue in recent times with the governor of the Eastern Caribbean Central Bank, and he has shown the credit union movement that they have adopted an inclusive stance for the credit union. I mean, we are here to stay irrespective of what people think. While other institutions are picking up and leaving, the credit union has nowhere to go. We are here to stay. And so, since we represent a large number of the population, they say, look, but they have to work with the credit unions. And we are willing to work with everybody who are willing to work with us. It's just that it cannot be a one-size-fits-all regulatory framework for everybody, because the institutions are different by makeup, the nature, the structure, operations, everything. Although we might have similar products and services, there's a lot of difference, behind the scenes.
Is it akin to, go ahead, Mr. Jenkins.
One of the things which I wanted to bring to the attention of the public and for those who, and to yourself as well, the credit union movement is steeped in history and tradition, right? It came out of slavery. So what you are seeing today is a refined system of what took place in slavery, because remember the slaves had their own system, things like susu and partner hand. The hucksters had their own system of collaboration because they were not part of the formal system, right? So during slavery, post-slavery, not being banked, they had their own systems, which we have refined now to be the credit union, where people pool their resources in the interest of helping each other. Yes? So there is a steep tradition of the principles. So perhaps maybe that explains why there is so much success in the movement, because these traditions have been passed on from generation to generation and have now become ours, and we feel part of those traditions. So maybe that explains why we have had so much success in it, because in a sense it is ours. We have created it coming out of slavery. So I thought that point needed to be raised. Also, there is a regional bill that governs the credit union movement through the OECS. So all of the OECS countries basically have the same structure of control, and they are monitored by the FSRC in each country. The FSRC has a regional component board that meets to oversee all of the credit unions. We have had, and I don't want to say much on this, but we have been lobbying our respective governments for changes to be made to the regulations. We pray and hope that we will get the meeting that we have been asking for, and that the regulations could be, the requests that we have made for the amendments to the regulations would go before the Parliament as soon as possible. That would ease the burden that we carry in terms of how we are required to manage the credit unions at this time. There have been a lot of changes made as a result of the meltdown that took place in the industrial countries, and also the money laundering has become a big issue, and we have also been impacted by that. And so the regulations under which we manage have changed considerably to what they were, say, 10 years ago. And so it is much more difficult now to manage the credit unions, but we still manage. And as I said, despite those restrictions, the credit union movement continued to thrive. And so the future is bright for the movement, and I think that we will continue to see growth in the movement, particularly in light of the fact that some of our other financial institutions are signaling that they have had enough of us, and so they would really prefer if other people look after the people of the respective countries. And so the credit union movement is very, very willing to take over the deposits and provide the financial services that are being demanded. And we are making every effort to keep pace with the technology and with the convenience of the services. Now people want, at the touch of the button, they would like to be able to do all of their services. And we are moving in that direction to make sure that we are up to date, first world, so that you are able to conduct your business at the touch of a button.
The regulations that have been put on the credit unions by, as you said, maybe the governments or whatever authorities, or the banks, central banks or whatever, it almost sounds like the debate with the financial services of countries and the OECD and so on and so forth. Is it almost akin to that?
Well, one of the things, and I think Mr. Newton is in a better position to answer, but one of the things that we have been fighting, there seems to be a philosophical difficulty with some from the other side of the wall. I have heard it said that they do not understand how is it that credit unions could be that successful. And so there is almost an attempt to answer the question, yes, to squeeze us out. It has been said that whenever there appears to be successful industries arising in these small countries, efforts are made to suppress them. And we have seen some of that in relation to the credit union movement.
And they do that under the heading of what? That these institutions have the authority to safeguard the resources, the monies of the masses, and so they do that under that.
Well, remember, our countries often have to take advice from these international institutions who guide their respective ministries of finance in terms of how they manage their debt and how they manage their economies. And so we get caught in that crossfire.
It's an environment of different motives.
Yeah, because, even in normal operation of a business, you find that sometimes you have certain guidelines how certain things are done. But you may find a creative person who understands what the objective is and use certain creative ways to get the same results. But a person who is steeped in the regulations cannot see what you're saying and thus want you to follow this particular stringent path, and hence come the conflict.
But Weber, the ironic thing is that a lot of those regulations which are passed down to us in smaller territories are not being adhered to by some of the bigger ones.
Right.
Whereas we might be accused of being money laundering centers, the records show that it is the big countries, the industrialized world, where most of that happen. And yes, we and our governments try to follow the rules set out. And as you know, if they don't, then we are all listed. I wouldn't call the word that they say, but we are all otherwise listed, as non-cooperative and so on. But it's a challenge, and the credit union falls within the financial system. We understand our responsibility. We understand the potential impact that we can have, the systemic risk that we can create, and all of that. And we are responsible. Institutions run by the members, and so we seek to safeguard the members' assets because it is a member's business. So who has more interest in the member themselves or somebody on the outside? That's always been our argument.
You know, it can serve as a real interesting debate, because I've had some debates with certain authorities to point out to them, for instance, if I'm operating this business and I run into a situation on a given day, they have some specific guidelines written how I should deal with it. But it may not be very practical for me to get that done, that problem solved. I might have an innovative way. But the objective is to get it done. And when I do that innovation on top of the table, so to speak, they said, no, it's not that way it was supposed to be done. And you find that that can well stifle growth and progress. So I sort of understand what you're saying in terms of the creativity of credit unions being cooperatives and being almost strangled by certain regulations and not being able, just like when some institutions see a niche and certain persons, by the rules and regulations of certain financial institutions, they are turned down. But the other institution take a risk with these people, and Mr. Hector said earlier, because they figured that person will pay. And that's the objective, right? Once they're paying, then you can also always... Mr. Jenkins, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, Mr. Weber, we don't want to come here and appear to be cheap. So we have to give away something. So we want to make it possible for someone in Nevis to become a member of the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union. So we want to give away a membership.
That means you have to give away two. One for Weber, one for somebody else.
I think your campaign in half.
Weber don't qualify. This is his second year. He doesn't qualify at all. So we were asking if it is possible that we can open the line to allow someone.
Okay, so what is it? Somebody who wants something free, call 4691, or they have to do something for it?
Question, yeah.
Okay.
An easy question.
So why don't we do this? Get on your phone, call 469-1616 or 1700. You have engaged the persons. It's very easy, and you walk away with something. So let's go. 469-1616 or 1700. Go ahead.
The person needs to be below the age of 18. So we're looking for young membership. The question is, what is the asset size of the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union Limited as at December 31st, 2018? What is the asset size? In other words, how much they're worth of the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union Limited as of December 31st, 2018. If you can answer that, you become a member. What's the value of a membership, Sydney, to become a member?
Under 18, there is no share requirement under 16 school age. So they'll have an account opened.
Account open
for them, yes.
Yeah,
and
but
they can get dividends. They can get.
So they'll just get an account open, having their name and how much
of
money.
Course,
that's what
money deposited
so
in it.
monies will be in it.
Yes. It's
And
not a zero account.
Well, let's go 469-1616. It's free. Okay,
it's
so
free. Yes, it's free.
just give them a little time to Google it, because that's what we're. In the meantime, though, what else we've got? Maybe we can remind persons of what's coming up.
Well, I wanted to just say from the record from 2018, for the consolidated statistics for the credit union movement in St. Kitts and Nevis. There are 4 credit unions with a total membership of 27,562 members. That's about half the population. And the total assets, how much is this, Cindy? This is a lot of money. How much that is? 140, how much? For St. Kitts and Nevis.
That is US dollars, 140.
140 million US dollars. So that's the asset size for the consolidated 4 credit unions on St. Kitts and Nevis, 140 million US dollars, with membership of 27,562 persons. So that's gives you an idea. In terms of loans, I should have given you that as well. In terms of the loans outstanding, the loans, 95 million US dollars in loans. Total savings, shares and deposits, 116 million US dollars. You have a caller, Weber?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So maybe, as Mr. Hector says, it's just as cheap you give it to me.
Whoever got very voted.
Okay, well, maybe we just got a couple of minutes left. Maybe we can, as I said, remind folks of the activities that you have coming up, which you would like the public to participate in.
Okay, from the First Federal Credit Union. So for the folks in Nevis, on Thursday, which is open day, you can feel free to visit our offices and receive some refreshments and a token of appreciation from us. If you're listening and you're in the St. Kitts division, you come on out and you get some you become financially fit with the information you receive, as well as get some physical information about your wellness, staying healthy. And so that's what we're doing for this week. Again, I guess because we are winding down, we just want to remind you that the credit union movement, if you decide to become a member, is one of the best decisions that you'll ever make, because we treat you as family, and hoping that you understand what family is, being close-knit and being open, and that we cater to your needs, and needs being very basic. And so we just want you to understand, and we hope that we've reached you and you've understood what exactly the movement is doing. And I'll let the other colleagues give you their parting words. It goes out.
All right, Rabbi, I want to personally thank you for having us here this evening. We journeyed over from St. Kitts, and I think we've had an excellent interaction with you. You've given us some very interesting questions and things for us to think about.
Let me interrupt you and see whether or not, because I don't want you to go back with this prize. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. Has the question been answered?
You want to ask a question, or you want to get the free thing they're giving away? They have something for free too, you know.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm trying for.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you remind me of the question, please?
Could you speak a little louder?
She answered the question.
Or the question, what is the asset size of the Nevis Cooperative Credit Union Limited as of December 31st, 2018?
Okay, the total assets is 141 million. Well, I should say 141,040,479.
What? Where you found that?
In the annual report?
In the annual report?
Yes.
Okay. Wow. She didn't have to Google it. Wow, she had a report.
I have the annual report looking at right in front of you.
You have an annual report in front of you?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. Are you a member?
I am.
You're a member already?
Yes.
See, don't qualify if you're a member already. This is to go to someone who is not a member yet, you know, so that we can make you a member. We need anyone in the house not a member? Hello?
I am thinking.
You're thinking? It seems as if everyone is a member. So many followers. So, Weber, unfortunately, we have to go to someone else.
Okay.
Or I can just give it to somebody who's not a member.
You can give it to. Cindy, let's be kind. Let's be kind. Let's give her the price, and we'll work out the logistics. Yeah, we're gonna give this to a school, somebody in school. Yeah. So you're gonna identify somebody from your family that you will give this to.
Okay.
Someone at school age. Okay.
That's fair.
That's a cousin, someone. Yes. So what's your name?
Can I give the name now or
Certainly, you
that
can give
is
us
on
off you.
later?
You can give Mr. Herbert your name off you, please.
Okay, no
Right,
problem.
thank you very much, and thanks for calling.
Okay.
Right, and Sydney,
And
everybody leave his member already.
And remember, this is what we spoke about earlier for the whole night. You know, the environment, motive, helping others to help others. This person didn't really is a member. They didn't qualify any question, but see how the flexibility is at work. You know, Peter Jenkins himself says, "Okay, just identify somebody in the community and bring them."
Yeah, but here's what, we lost that person, so I'm going to suggest that they call Mr. Newton at the credit union tomorrow and finish it up. Okay. All right, go ahead. Let's keep going around with the final comments.
Okay, so but I didn't get to finish. So.
Yes, please.
All right. Okay, so just a gentle reminder, tomorrow we'll have the Melvin Edwards Excellence Awards for the top 3 young persons for the test of standards. On Thursday, it's our member appreciation, and come on in to the St. Kitts Cooperative Credit Union, get your little snack plates and your tokens from us. If you want to take a tour of our wonderful locations, please feel free. We have our headquarters at Blade and Commercial, and we have our other branch office at our downtown. On Friday, we'll have the nurses in to check your pressure and to check your sugar. And on the 26th of October, we will be walking with Essence of Hope Breast Cancer Walk. So come on out, join us. Let's walk for a cure. Again, it was my pleasure to be here. I hope our listening audience was able to get a better understanding as to what credit unions are. How can we help you? Now, if you're not a member of a credit union, you have 4 options in the Federation. 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Pick one. Because I know sometimes finances can be a bit daunting, and persons might say, you know what, I really don't want to deal. I have bills, I don't want to deal with that. I get my money, I pay my bills, and that's it. But sometimes you have to learn to put aside something for a rainy day. Sometimes you have to learn to start planning ahead for certain things. Instead of doing the higher purchase, why not come into your local credit union? You pay less. A lot of people don't know that. Yes, it might appear easier to go to a higher purchase company and get the item right away. But if you come to your credit union, you get that loan and you pay out that, the payment that you're going to make to your credit union is going to be far less and less interest than what you would pay to a higher purchase. Just a thought. Another thought, we allow persons to borrow as low as $500. That's something we don't push. We don't say it. There are certain financial institutions that will not let you borrow anything less than $5,000. Let's face it, my people. Some of us can't afford to borrow $5,000. All right. So when you are thinking about your financial health, as my good colleague from First Federal said, be sure to put into that thought 1 out of the 4 credit unions in the Federation. On that note, I'm going to say thank you very much for listening. It was my pleasure to be here. I wish you a restful evening.
All right. Just in wrapping up, Weber, it's been an eventful night, and I'm happy to be here as usual in your good company. I hope I don't. I hope I get the opportunity sometime to come back with you soon. What I would just say is that in terms of the Police Cooperative Credit Union, we have our open day on Thursday. On the 21st of October is our AGM. I'm asking for all the members to come on out. Transportation will be provided as usual by way of the charter ferries. I'm asking for the full support. It is our movement, our institution, and it's important for your vote to be counted in terms of the direction forward. I just want to vow to the other credit unions that we at the Police Cooperative Credit Union do intend to continue that cooperative efforts, continue cooperating with all credit unions to ensure that this entire movement can be, be around for another 50 plus years, going forward.
Newton?
Yeah, Mr. Webo, just to remind the members that there will be the relaunch of the Junior Cooperative Societies tomorrow at 10 o'clock in the Ingle Blackett Conference Room. The press is invited. Come and join the Ministry of Education, the Nevis Credit Union, as we focus on the school cooperatives, energize them and incentivize them. Thursday is our open house all day. Come to the credit union, learn more about our operations, and a lot of the issues that we'll discuss this evening, could be expounded upon at that time. The health fair will run from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. with Dr. Linton Leibert Jr. and other doctors from the Alexandria Hospital and nurses as well. They'll be there to make sure that the membership, the population is healthy by conducting free checks, medical checks.
And Mr. Jenkins, quickly?
Yeah, just to say that the headquarters building for the credit union movement is located in the Federation, and the new headquarters will be opened on the 9th of November. We'll be having a big celebration in St. Kitts for this. So we now have the central bank, and you will now have the credit union movement headquarters. The 24th of October, we have the students seminar. Go to your teacher tomorrow and tell them you want to be on the seminar. Don't wait to be selected. So that's on the 24th of October. And 16th November, Service Excellence Seminar for the general public and members of the credit union movement. So get in touch with the league and register for this event. I want to say thank you to you, Webo, and to make a pledge to myself that you will not be a non-member when we return next year. Yes? We will have to make sure that...
That's the last word. Thank you all very much. And this program repeats tomorrow at 10 o'clock following the VON News Minute. Join the Honorable Mark Brantley tomorrow evening at 10 o'clock at 8 o'clock for On the Mark. Thank you all again for joining us. This is your voice in the community, thought that get results. You all have a wonderful evening.